Hey everyone, this is Ben.
And Nora.
Welcome back to the Midwest Model Shop. So in today's episode, it's basically a whole bunch of problems, but we're going to start off, well, we're going to cover the forecastle, and I'm going to go ahead and go over a bunch of things, but the ScaleDecks decking piece for the forecastle, I ended up with a big problem with mine. We'll go ahead and I'll cover that all in detail.
He's also going to take another look at the China 3D printed parts, and he's going to do a detailed breakdown of the 4 different anchor chain options.
Yep, that's going to be the big part of this episode. So without further ado, there's a lot of comparing and contrasting and a lot of just a lot of stuff happening in this episode, and I don't have a whole lot of solutions quite yet. It's more of a just doing what we can, right? So all right, press on.
Let's do it.
Okay, before we get too far ahead of ourselves here, these are the 2 boxes I said that I would make to cover up the holes here for the anchors so that we don't get any light leaks. They're painted black on the inside, and then once they're set up and done drying, I will go ahead and get more black paint on the outside and make sure that we don't have any light leaks. Alright, let's move on to the forecastle. Okay, here we are with the forecastle. So this is the kit part, and this is how it comes out of the box. And as you can see, I've got some little black Sharpie spots on things. All of these sections need to be removed to put our wooden deck down from ScaleDecks and go ahead and put all of our parts on. However, I realized that if I did that, I wouldn't be able to do some compare and contrasting for you. Primarily here, starting out with the anchor chains. I have 3 versions. We'll see, I have several versions to show you, but I need to leave one of these on so you can see the kit version to get what you would get out of the box. And because what Trumpeter provides you with is a windlass for right here, and then an actual piece of chain, which is very nice. It goes on right here. For all other versions, I need to remove the plastic. So what I think I'm going to do is remove the plastic on this side, on the port side, starboard side, and I'll leave the port side in place so I could just kind of mock up and assemble what you would get out of the kit, and then you can see what the differences are on each side. So obviously the deck is not replaced, I haven't done all that, but I want to do these chains real quick here first, this whole little assembly, so you can see those, because once this is gone, it's gone, it's hard to see. Okay, while we get going here, I've removed all of the raised pieces except for the equipment for the port anchor. I've actually gone ahead and installed the windlass that goes right here. This is the kit part, and what happens is a chain gets installed right here that is supplied by a Trumpeter, so we'll drop that in when we compare the other one. I did leave this forward hatch on for right now. I'm going to be removing mine because I have a 3D printed from China replacement part that has a little bit of extra detail. It's the same size forward to aft, but it's wider. The only complaint that I have with it, and I think I may have a sample piece, so I don't know that you should expect this with yours, but as you can see right here on the front, there's grooves, and I don't think that's correct. This is smooth, this area should be smooth too. When turned sideways you can barely see it, but they're there, so I think I'm going to have to sand those down. Now here's my reference in my book, and it doesn't show it being stepped right here. It just says that same bevel as the brackets, and it's drawn out to be smooth. So yeah, I think I'm going to smooth those out, but that might be just like I said, this may be an early production sample, so no big deal. Otherwise it's hollow on the inside once you remove it and sand all the stuff off. But we're going to go ahead and press on with the Pontos stuff. Okay, so here's my Pontos book, and this is what I was originally going to be installing because I have the Pontos, photo etch detail, and as you can see, it is significantly different than what is provided with the kit. So we're going to go ahead and build up here the starboard side anchor chain arrangement, and then we'll compare that with all the options, because once this is done, we'll be able to look at everything. So yeah, let's press on with that. Okay, here's our first comparison shot. This is going to be the kit part with the kit chain, carefully zoomed in here, versus the Pontos photo etch. We're still using the kit chain. As you can see, I didn't put everything on. There's a couple little Pontos pieces that are missing. We're just doing the comparison. But as you can see, they are different lengths, and there's substantially more detail on the Pontos piece than what you get with the kit. The windlace isn't even close to being the same size on the kit. So yeah, it took quite a while, probably about an hour, 45 minutes to make up that piece of the Pontos, and I would say that it was totally worth it. This was the plan, to use this photo etch, but we got some other parts we got to take a look at here. So let's go ahead and move on to that. Okay, next up here we have our example from KA. Kit part obviously is up above, and then here's the KA piece. I've already got this painted. This is from a client's build. I'll go ahead and get you a different angle here in just a second. And we'll also talk about the chains, because KA went ahead and 3D printed their chains, and I haven't removed them yet, but they have the proper shape. You can see they have the link in the middle. I haven't removed them yet to see how well they'll move independently. We'll see if they do that, but they're larger than the chain that's supplied by Pontos, just a little bit. It's a little bit more to scale, but these links I don't think would fit very well around the smaller windlass and everything. Let's move the camera here for a second. Okay, here we are from more of a profile view, I guess, so you can see some of the detail underneath, and obviously up here in the front, just like on the Pontos, it's hard to see because it's all kind of painted black, but you know, you've got your controls and the latch and everything that holds the chain into position. It's all very, very nicely detailed. And like I said, we just have to add the chain links. And like I said, we just have to add the chain links here to it, get them cut off and painted up, and they'll look good too. So the last option that we have to look at here is our 3D printed parts from China. Let's take a look at them. Alright, so the last item we have here is our 3D printed part that is from the Titanic model 3D prints. 1/200th and 1/350th sales and show only Facebook page. That is the page. I'll say that again. If you go on Facebook and you look up Titanic model China 3D prints 1/200th and 1/350th sales and show only, you can go there and buy these. Now, I haven't painted it. It's in its orange color that it comes in so that you can see all the details. Obviously, the anchor chain is there. The little controls here, the gears there, and on top of our windlass, you've got this detail. Now on the, let's just take a quick look here because it's not really fair. I didn't include this before. This is the KA part, and it's essentially identical except that on top of this windlace, this piece does exist that you see there, that wheel. It's just a photo etch part, and I haven't put that on there yet. I actually forgot and should have done that before I painted it. But otherwise, they're basically identical except that I don't have my chain on here. I get to do a little extra modeling. So, you know, if you're building it out of the box, this is what you're going to get. If you have the Pontos piece, we'll take a look at that here again in a second. Well, here, let's just arrange the three. Okay, here's the three of them. So this one that's orange right now is the Titanic model 3D prints, 1/200th, 1/350th part that you can buy. And this is great because you can go buy just this 3D print. This is the KA product. Basically, it's the exact same thing, except like I said before, you got to add the chain, and then I forgot to put the photo etch piece on top of the windlass there. That would make it identical. And then last but not least, there is the assembled, almost completely assembled Pontos photo etch. Now right here, there is a little post with that control on it that you see that goes in place. And honestly, I was like, I'm not going to bother with this tiny little detail for something I'm just not going to use other than showing off these parts to everybody right here. So those are your 3 options right there. I was going to be using this on my build, but this showed up, so we'll go ahead and slap this on. This is almost the identical thing. This is the KA part that's going on my client's build because that's what he has. The only other thing I wanted to add was in the 3D printed parts from China, so this is the remnants. There's this little control box that you see right there. That will replace those little boxes. Now if you have the kit, you're going to be putting photo etch there. If you have the KA part, they've got a replacement piece that goes on there as well. But this just matches up with the 3D, like this boathouse here. You need to put that piece right in front of it there from the Titanic model's 3D print part. So anyway, that's the difference. But those are the 3 options there. As you can see, all 3 of these are great. If you enjoy photo etch, this is a fun, easy project. This is a little bit better if you want to do something more than cut out and paint, because the 3D print from China, this is quick and easy. You cut it off, we're going to paint it, you're going to glue it on, you're going to be done. This is neat because it gives you the option to kind of do something with the chains and lay them how that you want. So I think the big difference here is they're basically all the same, but this is your option if you want this detail, but you don't want to buy the entire KA kit or the entire Pontos kit. Okay, now that that's enough of that, let's press on and get some more work done in the forecastle. Alright, as we prep the forward forecastle for all this stuff, I wanted to go ahead and show some stark contrasts here. So here's your forecastle, and this is the area that I'm interested in talking about right now. Maybe if I flip this over so you can see. Pontos has provided you with some interesting things. Door here and here, and then these 2 little reinforcement frames. And that's it. Now, there's a ladder that goes, sorry about the focus here and here. They actually have you remove those, and they do provide a ladder for you to install right here, because then the set of stairs go over the top. In the KA model version, this ladder is not provided. Conversely, neither are these doors here though. This pipe that everybody knows about is put in on the KA version, and it is not included on the Pontos version. So I went ahead and scratch made that and stuck it into position. But that's about it. This is all Pontos provide. So I wanted to compare and contrast here for you. This is the client's build. This is the stuff provided by KA. Now, alright, so first of all, we have this beam that goes across here. They've provided you with photo etched doors. They do not have the inside doors. And as you can see here, we have these steps installed to this bulkhead. Pontos, pivot the camera down here. Pontos intends for you to place these steps on the deck in front of the doors. KA has them attached. Now, if I zoom in, you can see that KA has included the little support pieces there, but then they've also provided some additional detail in between, and again, more photo etched doors. Pontos does not provide any of that stuff. So I know I got to paint all this up, but I want you to see the difference. And this isn't a big deal. I mean, this is going to have the number 2 cargo hatch in front of it, so I don't know that you'll see it very well. They'll make very much of a difference, but it's there. Obviously, I got a really nice 90-degree bend here, and it's a little more casual on mine, I see. But you know what, that's okay. I'm not too fussy about that. Anyway, I just wanted to show you all that before I moved on, because this is the clients. I got to go ahead and get my wood deck glued on here next so we can start putting our fittings on. But I do want to paint all this first, which meant attaching this photo etch before we monkey with the deck. So, all right, that's all I have to say about that. Pressing on. Okay, so quickly here, I've gone ahead and thrown our orange down here. It looks very nice. I say orange, it's the masked red, but it kind of looks orange to me. Anyway, what I wanted to do was address a little issue we have here. Here's our ScaleDecks deck, and as you can see, I've got this big black line here. This is the waterway. I had a little line of it over here, not nearly as much printed as on this side. As you can see, I've got the holes on the right spot. They match up. The bow is all set up. And for some reason, it just printed, this shifted over here. I don't know what happened. Now, I have two of these because I'm doing one for my client. My client's turned out perfect. There's none of this. I mean, I think the line ends up being like this on both sides, but this starboard side is really bad and prominent. Now, a waterway does get put on here, so we will in theory end up with the same black line on this side. The problem is, where do we position, we have all these details, where do we position those fittings? So, kind of a bummer. Now, I realize some of you might say, call ScaleDecks up, show them the problem, and get a new piece. And while I might be inclined to do that, I'm not this time, because I have a ton of extra wood that he provided, and this is just part of modeling, and there's so many manufacturers out there where you might buy the parts on eBay and wherever, and what you get is what you get. So what I'm going to do is let this glue thoroughly dry up, and then look at the spares that I have, kind of look at the pieces I have. But the plan right now is probably going to be to take a knife, make a very precise cut, and remove this piece of wood. And I'll probably fill it back in with spare wood or a strip that I've got from the rest of the kit. At least that's the working plan right now. And part of it, I think this is the exact width of the waterway, so it probably would just be covered exact anyway. I got to look into that. If that's the case, I'll leave it. But that does call into question what's going to happen over here on the port side, where these details have made their way over to the edge a lot closer than they have over here. We might just have a little bit of a mismatch on some of these outlines that we have to work through. So anyway, that's an interesting evolution in this project, but otherwise, this is all coming along nicely here. Let's just press on, see what we can get done. Okay, so here's our 3D printed parts from China. They look great, but they come to you like this. And it has been brought to my attention that there are some folks out there that apparently have a hard time figuring out how to remove these things. And you can damage them. They could snap in half and you can have trouble. But basically what you have to do, we'll zoom in here, is you got to remove these little sprues down here. They're basically just like regular sprues that you would have, on a regular part in a kit. So you need a pair of actual cutters, not side cutters, like cutters that are for models. This is flat on the bottom. You can see that, and then there's a little V at the top here. These are probably like $20. You can get the godlike ones for like 40. But the key to removing these is start off creating some relief, because when you go in here, if you snip this, and notice I put the flat side down, the plastic or the resin gets pushed down, and if you push up, it can damage your part. So you need to create relief so that when you make your cut, things can be moved. So first thing I'm going to do is get rid of this big printing block on the end here, and it went flying. And then we've got another one over here, and that's out of the way. So now basically the whole thing's exposed. Now if you look closely here, you can see that some of these have already done me a favor and detached themselves just in the natural part of the printing process. Now this piece right here is separate. I don't want to lose that, but this gearbox right there is part of the whole hub assembly, and I want to hang on to that. So what you could do is you could go in with your cutters and start very carefully cutting these loose. And I'll start up here just to kind of show you, keeping the camera here. Just a little snip, and those are, and then you can cut underneath, provide it with some relief so there's a place for the material to go, and you'll work your way around and you'll be set. You do have to be careful. This can not work out, and you got to be patient. As you make your little snips, you're going to need to come back here. Make sure that you can see all this, and you need to remove, get rid of this thing. You need to remove the parts that you've already cut so you can get access to the next part back. This is not something that you just do very quickly. You need to take your time, and you need to be patient. When you're done, the whole thing will be removed. Now, if it's level and everything's even, like you could do this on the stacks, you could get yourself a razor saw. I'm zooming kind of far in here. Let's see here. And you can go ahead and just go about halfway down and just drag it across. And now you're not cutting the pieces, creating a point where everything can get pushed one way or another. You're actually just removing the material. And if you remove the material, it won't break. You just got to go real nice and slow. So anyway, I'll continue on. You keep doing that, and when you're done, you end up with this. So you can get on the paint process. All right, just want to show that. Press on. Okay, we're going to go ahead and paint these things, and I'm going to go ahead and use Tamiya XF69 NATO Black because it's not exactly black, and what that will allow me to do is have a nice base coat on this, and then I'll come back and I'll paint the anchor chain actual flat black.
The Titanic center anchor, over 18 feet long and weighing over 15 tons, was the largest hand-forged anchor ever made at the time. Most links in the anchor chains and Hingley & Sons forged were 33 inches long, though the largest links were a full 3 feet in length. In all, the Titanic received nearly 1,200 feet of chain for its anchors.
We're just going to do a careful job applying it. And when it dries, the anchor chain will pop out just ever so against the NATO Black by Tamiya. Okay, so now that the chain's painted, we're just going to go ahead and grab some gold to simulate the brass on top. Just get our first base coat on here. And then we'll see how it looks, and then we'll probably do a little bit of weathering to it. Okay. And we're zoomed way in. And we gotta do the other one. You could leave these black, I guess. I mean, it looks pretty sharp. Okay, so that's the second one. Alright, let's look at both of them real quick. Alright, here they are. These are the China 3D printed anchor chains all painted up. I have not weathered the windlasses yet. They're just painted gold. I think they look really sharp. And I want to show you what they look like compared to the KA parts where you have to add the chain themselves. I've already got that installed in my client's build, so we'll just throw them up there next to each other and I'll show you what I mean. Alright, here's all of them put together. In the middle are the KA printed ones with the anchor chains added, and then you can see I've weathered the windlasses a little bit. I have to weather the windlasses on the China 3D printed ones. But as you can see, it's almost imperceptible, the difference. I added the chain on the two in the middle, and did not add the chain on the two on the outside. So when you're all said and done, they turn out really, really nice. On the back here, I have to add, so for the little gearboxes that run back here to the controls, I've already pre-drilled little holes in this one so I can insert the brass rod. I'm going to need to do that with these, and then they'll be ready to go. So we'll go ahead and get those set up and thrown on our forecastle. So yeah, pressing on. Okay, so I figured some things out here. I was going to go ahead and glue down our anchor chains, so that's why you see the two little black dots up here to simulate where they go into place. And then, as you can see, I've got some styrene strips that I added to the area that I removed for the forward cargo hatch. And that's because the 3D printed part, the way that it fits on here, there were a couple of, not really, like right up here in the front corner, there's a spot where you might make out. I'll zoom in here. If you, depending on where you decide to set it, see that little white spot, you might make that out, and there's a gap. And I wanted more positive gluing contact space, so I went ahead and did all of that. But that's not really what I want to show you now. So in the previous segment, somewhere along the way, I talked about this big black line. I said I don't know what's happened here and I got to figure this out. Well, here's part of what's going on with this piece. And again, this is not, I don't think this is common with all ScaleDecks stuff. I think this is a fluke. I got a bad piece. Up here, this beam right here is the middle. It matches with the middle, and it's great. If you follow it though all the way back, it ends up almost in the middle. Not quite in the middle. Zoom in right here. So it's off to the left. The holes line up. So the laser did what it, so I'm wondering if the laser moved over when it cut these and the printer was off, or if I don't know what order these are done in, but something slid over here, just enough to cause this problem. So then in the back here, we have an issue where this is all shifted over to the left. And if you measure from the opening underneath here, you bump it flush, you go that line, you're like 7 mil. But on the other side, if you bump and you come over, you're around 9 mil, just shy of 10 mil. And then this is obviously the middle board, and it is not centered. You can see the silhouette from the previous kit pieces there. It's all a little bit crooked. And that explains too, like right here, you can see where the cutout's right, but the print moved over and we lost our stuff. So I'm concerned about how that will cause the rest of my pieces to lay. Again, I don't want to get a new piece. I do recommend that if this happens to you, go ahead and contact ScaleDecks and get a new sheet for this. Pull this thing off, glue down another one. I'm off my rocker a little bit. I want to make this work. I want to make this piece work. I'm going to figure out how to do it because I think that's cool. I just think it's something that it's worth overcoming and figuring out. So anyway, because of that and all the content we got in this episode, I'm going to go ahead and call it quits for this one. Hopefully you enjoyed all the different parts about the anchor, and I hope you guys are enjoying the upcoming holiday season here and getting lots of food in your bellies, because that's what I like to do. Anyway, that's it. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time.
No, and I can't use any of that because
They couldn't come up with something snappy, huh?
no, they could not. It's dumb. Okay, ready?
Midwest Model Shop.
In this episode, we're going to continue with the installation of the fiber optics for the forecastle and hook deck lighting. And I will remind you how to glue on the wooden decks in case you missed that episode.
But you should try and do it not reading. Because I looked at you and you're like this.
Well, I looked down and I looked back up.
No, I was looking at you. I'm like, you're just reading that. The idea is so that you can just add a little bit. Like,
I just don't have all those words to remember like you do. I don't talk about it freely like you do.
I don't know what's wrong with you.